And make sure that it is working. It's not. Make sure it's working. It's not.
It's not working.
Hang on.
It doesn't need to
What's
work.
that down there?
Don't mind it, I'm in business.
Okay, fine. Is that it? Okay. Yes, we're in business. Hi there. Welcome everybody. This is so exciting for us because we know we have a star in the making. Come up here, Eddie. Get up there.
He's on his own. He's on his own. That's.
It surely is, and you know, somebody like Francis Bacon, who was hopping around here years ago and lived, you know, around the street here, and you imagine, you know, Eddie sailing away into that wonder world. Actually, somehow or other, there's certainly one or two paintings here that would remind you of the man. That's for sure. It's a bit of bacon. We were saying to somebody, a bit of bacon here and there, actually. Or Rogers or whatever. No, we shouldn't say that. That's a different artist. He's a good artist as well. Anyway, we're delighted to have, of course, his mentor from so many years ago in Portlaoise, Mr. Brian Maguire, who has an enviable reputation, of course, in the arts world. And if only we could afford him. We can't afford Eddie. So I let Brian talk to you about it.
At the start of every speech, there is the correction. Mentor, friend is actually the brother.
Ah, lovely.
It's a friendship that began, I think, 25 years ago at the door of a gym. Where the two of us stood shoulder to shoulder looking into the gym, and I talked, and I don't know if he said a lot, he usually doesn't, but it continued for about 5 years of visiting that place, and we would meet for an hour, and I would always leave or drive back to Dublin from Portlaoise with one sentence of wisdom, which I invariably got from himself, which explained Dublin in a way that I didn't have before I went down. And it happened week after week for 5 years. One of the smartest, most intelligent men I've met in my time. He came out, the name of this exhibition is not new to me. He described it as a feudal system back then. It was a system where people were appointed roles as serfs and as masters of the universe and all that. And of course, he absolutely rejected that. And it was that spirit which was unbendable that attracted me in the man. I met his family, and they're all here tonight, and they're very proud, and they have every right to be, as I am. Who, you know, there's a couple of French philosophers, Foucault, Rancière, who explained society. These are philosophers from the universities. Both of them did it in a way by standing outside of the Parisian prisons and handing a leaflet to the families as they went to see their loved ones. And the leaflet had checklists, questions on it. And the men inside filled out the questions. And when they were released, Foucault had them, mixing up the two names, Foucault they came to dinner with him in his apartment, and the conversations continued. And out of that, the way of seeing society changed in France. He was a huge, influential philosopher in terms of social reality. Eddie didn't have to stand outside the prison, he was inside the prison. He was inside this community which continually in every town in Ireland produces the prisoners for our prisons. Every town, every housing estate which is corporation, is what we used to call them. That's the addresses, because I worked in every jail in Ireland, every single one, over a 20-year period. And so I kind of heard the same addresses in Tipperary and Cork and Limerick, Galway, Bray, Dublin. And how is this? This cannot be moral decisions by individuals. This is a system, a structure. And it really needs, and it has here today, somebody who is capable of using a language to speak from inside this world and to speak truthfully and honestly about it. The subjects of these pictures are the disappeared, the gang wars, the young addicts. They're all very difficult. They're difficult, and I commend you for coming and for those of you who have bought, for buying, because without people to buy pictures, there are no artists. Believe me, we run out of money eventually. We need the support of our audience. It's funny, something happened here today, in a sense that my brother-in-law drove up here, and he says, I have something in the car, in the boot of the car. Now, the brother-in-law comes from a very rarefied building, where it's in the forecourts. He's a High Court judge, and we're much honoured to have him there. I'm pleased. We need fair judges. But he was the first person to buy Eddie's work when Eddie came out. And he bought a whole series. I brought one here tonight, which I'd like to show you. I don't want to sell it to you, it's not for sale. Relax.
I get no commission.
It's not being sold.
Okay.
I think everything that comes into the building is for sale.
Including myself, by the way.
Yes. I'll see me about that later. But no, I just want to show it to you because it is a self-portrait of the man who came out. And, it's 20 years old. And I think it says, this is the language that Eddie has. It's not a language that we honour very much in Ireland. It's a language of drawing and painting. But it's a language, and it's very clear what it says when you just look at it. You can see the person. As he said himself, there's a long way from there to here. Here,
These two pictures.
you know, what's here on the walls, in the morning, which is over there, which is spelled M-O-U-R, and it's about the women who are left behind following the killing of their loved ones in these gangland feuds that are coming up like daisies in Dublin. You know, the way the flower is painted leaves me shocked. I'm in awe of it. It's just absolutely beautiful. And that aesthetic runs through. I'm very proud to be here. Eddie and I became friends probably before we knew it, certainly before I knew it. And we have collaborated together, and it's been a relationship of equals. I did a small work in Dublin Contemporaries, which was around the Crumlin feud. I couldn't have done a single thing without his help. You know, so the traffic is both ways, and has always been both ways. And I mean, we don't get many friends in our lives. I'm very fortunate, anyway, in having Eddie as a friend. You know. So that's it.
by the way, I don't know if I meant to reveal this actually. I don't know if I meant to reveal it, but a chap came in yesterday who even had expressed a bit of an interest in Cahill, which of course Eddie has been down to, and of course a lot of you know. And I think he's about to write a very important book about Mr. Brian Maguire, but I think there's going to be a little bit of a...
Deservedly so.
There's going to be, deservedly indeed, but maybe a little bit of Eddie going in there, actually, somewhere. So I can understand very well the effect you had on Eddie, but the effect Eddie had on you. And the thing I think, actually, I don't know about you feel the same way, is you can see the effect that Eddie has in his paintings. They speak of all the artists I've ever had, and you know, a lot of artists in my gallery, but you're the only one who really, truly shows emotion. And I think that's really interesting. And even in the one which went very fast today, we had people coming in before the show opened at all, interested in your work. Even the one that almost like you could imagine Bacon or even Picasso or something, you still managed to get emotion into an eye. If you look at them, every one of them will tell you that story. And Eddie told me a lot of stories, of course, about the different paintings that are on the wall. And he was talking about, am I right now, about the gangs of today. And you said, I thought it was very interesting, you said they're quite different to the gangs of yesteryear. The gangs of yesteryear, if I remember you saying, were motivated, their anger was motivated against society you felt under the rule of Rome, is what you said to me. But the gangs today are motivated in a different way. And let's face it, you have to understand that they see a world that is so, for an awful lot of people, so disadvantaged. Homeless people, the state of all the things in our system, hospitals, everything. And then the haves, and that whole injustice thing, which comes through in your work actually. Funny enough, injustice.